Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on KUTV Primetime News. Now, as I told you at the beginning of the bulletin, we are streaming live on our social media platforms on Facebook KUTV Kenya and on Twitter KUTV_Kenya. Also live on YouTube at KUTV Kenya Live. You might be having questions for my guest. You shall be telling me that on the comment section. I'll be able to read it out to them. Now, the August polls is seemingly the most hotly contested in the history of elections in Kenya. Now, in the wake of party primaries, cracks are looming in the coalitions and parties with contestants crying foul of issuance of direct tickets without consensus. Now, what lies to be the fate of the contestants who might not get the favorite nomination, who might not be the favorite for this selection, because the transfer window is also already closed. And this forms the basis of our discussion tonight. Joining me is Masaki Samwel, Honorable Masaki Samwel, who is the Kenya Kwanza Youth Spokesperson, and Honorable Oketch Martin, the CEO of Roots Party of Kenya. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for dedicating your time for this discussion.
Thank you so much.
Right, now, let's get the ball rolling. We are having headaches in the nominations, and some of the contestants actually crying foul that the issue of direct tickets and speculations that the nominations might not be free and fair. The contestants actually decrying that in as much as yes, they're headed to the party primaries, they might be rigged out, or someone who is favorite to the party might be given the ticket. But I want to know, because you are leaders in respective parties, what are the strategies that you're having in your parties to ensure that people who are contesting with your parties does not cry foul? The grounds are level for everyone. I'll start with you, Masaki.
Thank you so much for hosting me. First and foremost, I'll talk about my party and the coalition.
Mm-hmm.
In UDA, we have come up with various structures in terms of trying to avoid fallout after nomination, and this is because of the crying foul and people feeling this defranchised in the process. And one of the things that as a party we have been able to focus on is on the issues of consensus, whereby we try and bring all the aspirants together, let them engage between one another and try and see the possible way if they can present one candidate instead of them going out through the same process and still coming up with one candidate. So they talk among themselves and they see the modality in coming up with one candidate whom they propose. Either way, in any contest, there has to be one winner. So with this modality of consensus, we try and accommodate all the aspirants in different segments within the same structure. If it's the position of the NCA or the Senate, the candidate who is presented is being supported, and this strengthen the party and also strengthen the coalition. So that is one of the factors that we have been able to focus on. Then the issue of the nominations, we have been able to try and come up with the structure going down in terms of having people who are credible who are going to conduct this nomination process, and also engaging the aspirants that they should have faith in the process. Not only that we'll have the nominations after, that we're going to bring these aspirants together so that they can be able to support this candidate to be able to face the rest of the candidates in the other coalitions.
Right.
So those are some of the areas we've been able to capture. And what we've been asking our aspirants who are contesting the various positions is that we try as much as possible to have this thing within the party to avoid fallout, because once we have fallout, then this is going to tarnish the name of our party, the name of the coalition. Unlike other parties which have been able to give direct ticket without consultations of these aspirants, our way has been different because we have all focused with building the party and making sure that all the aspirants feel at home within the party.
Right.
Yes.
Now, Brian, for you as the CEO of the Roots Party of Kenya, of course, it's a party that is gaining popularity in the country because of the way the party is selling the agenda. But are you also having the headaches when it comes to nominations where contestants are probably, contestants for the rallying for the same seat clashing? So, you're faced with a tough tussle of selecting who might be the favorite, or rather, how do you get to the consensus to reach a consensus that this is the party that we are fielding for this position?
First of all, it is important that we give this conversation a perspective. We must understand why parties are choosing to go for consensus instead of going for nominations.
Yes.
Actually, conducting party nominations or any other election is a very expensive affair. We all hear now and again IBC complaining of underfunding because election itself is very expensive.
Sure.
So first, a lot of political parties are avoiding the issues of costs to do the election. Number two, 2022 general election is a very competitive one, and each side want to retain as many of their members to their fold as possible. Are they succeeding in that with whatever is going on? It can be debated. But now they're avoiding to have an issue of friendly fires, because sometimes even friendly fires can still hurt. Yeah. So if you have members of your political party going into a all-out fight, when some of them lose, they'll be even more disgruntled than they are when you engage in a consensus. The only place where these political parties are going wrong is that they are having favoritism instead of consensus. Because you cannot call a process consensus if it does not involve all the parties involved. Yeah, and if you have 5 people in a contest and one of them disagrees with the arrangement, it no longer becomes a consensus. Yeah, you'll be overriding the decision of the minority within that. Yeah, and to them they can call it democracy, but that is where it is at the moment in our political spheres. We, as a Roots Party, we've tried as much as possible, and I don't think you'll be hearing of any disgruntlement amongst our candidates, because we've taken the initiative to involve them wholly and fully so that they all feel comfortable, so that by the time we present one of them to be our aspirant, all of them are comfortable to support and work with that one particular candidate that we've chosen. Yes.
Right. Now, it's actually very impressive how Brian is bringing out the issue of consensus. Now, I would also wish to know, how did you, because for the Kenya Kwanza, we understand that you've already endorsed Johnson Sakaja to go for the gubernatorial seat, and of course it was also a contest between Sakaja and Bishop Margaret Wanjiru, who is going for the senatorial seat. And so far we've not seen any form of chaos or someone, decrying any foul play. That's so impressive of the Kenya Kwanza team. How did you reach to this? And also, one thing I also want to know is how easy was it? Because I understand you are running for the senatorial seat. How easy was it for you to, shelve your ambitions for Bishop Margaret Wanjiru for this position?
Well, I would want to say it was not an easy thing, because this is a process that has been on for almost 3 weeks. We have had a lot of engagement, a lot of meetings in terms of trying to have everyone on board and all the views. Just the way my friend has said, that you cannot have a consensus when one party is not involved, and you only need to agree when everyone trying to put everything on the table and say that I will want to see this as one of the interests, because politics is about interest. So you have to put your interest on the table and say, well, if this card is not then for me, then I am presenting this one as an option for this one. So those are some of the things we have been trying to engage, and also we are looking in terms of the arithmetic, because our way as a coalition is we want to win most seats. So we can only win this most seat when we avoid these fights. Because if we go into a coalition, if you go into a nomination process, subjected maybe by the 2 candidates, the way we had Margaret and Sakaja, then one there is a fallout or after the nomination, then that means we are going to lose numbers which will have been consolidated to the general election. So our way of engagement is trying to and bring all these numbers together, agreeing on the candidates, which we already agreed that we are going to have Sakaja as our governor's candidate and Margaret as our senator's candidate. Then the rest of us, we are going to support this team, considering that all our interests have already been captured, which has already been done. So, because at the end of the day, we have our own ambitions, but we are looking at the bigger picture as a team, as a coalition, because if we don't go that way, then we are going to lose out. Either way, we only need to have one candidate for governor and the other candidate for senator. We cannot all of us have the ticket. So that's why we had a lot of lengthy conversation. We had a lot of trying to accommodate the interest of everyone. And at the end of the day, we ended up having the two candidates who are going to have for this coalition. And we are certain that they are going to form the next county government of Nairobi, one as the governor and the other as the senator. So that has been the negotiation. And we are hopeful that this is the right team. And we are comfortable also with the party and the party structures and the party leader. He has been very resourceful in this engagement, these consultations, and we're looking forward to work with the party in the next phase. Right.
Now, Brian, maybe to get to you as well, still on the Nairobi gubernatorial seat, in as much as yes, though, Roots Party is not filing any candidate for that position, but what do you see in the Azimuth camp? Because we understand we're having, maybe just to mention, we have the businessman, Richard Ngatia. We also have Tim Wanyonyi. I just want to mention the two. And of course, there are also others who are still in the Azimuth camp buying the same position. But we've seen how the consensus was agreed in the Kenya Kwanza team, and it's been peaceful so far. Do you foresee the Azimuth camp also, applying the same route of consensus where no aspirant will, decry foul of probably someone being favored in the expense of the other?
Political parties are formed and designed to take power or to win power. And that is the sole and primary purpose of having a political party. So if your question is anything to go by, I think the people or the Azimuth group had already foreseen this kind of a challenge, given that they were consolidating a lot of political parties to come together to form the Azimuth. That's why they hurriedly, and you can remember the manner with which they passed the political parties amendment bill, so that it can give them space and means through which they can be fielding a single candidate from the coalition as a coalition party. I hope you get my point. So that given that they are the people who designed this bill, they had foreseen this kind of a challenge, and we only expect, because you're speaking from as outsiders, we only expect that given that they had designed a bill for this particular purpose, they would be able to consolidate their team, to bring their aspirants together and deliver to us a single candidate who will definitely compete with Johnson Sakaja, because he has already been endorsed from the other side. So we really hope they do so that we have a very clear line on who becomes the next governor of Nairobi City County.
Right. Yeah. Now, maybe let us get away from the Nairobi gubernatorial seat. Ekuru Court has actually filed a petition to court that is aimed to bar Raila Amolo Odinga from vying for the presidential seat, and of course together with Kalonzo Musyoka and Musalia Mudavadi vying, being the playing the second fiddle for whoever they are supporting. On his argument, he was arguing that Raila Amolo Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka and Mudavadi are still public servants and do not that they should not vie for elections. What do you foresee of this? Is this petition that is filed by Ekuru Court anything that would be impactful in the August polls to affect, maybe to going by the constitution to bar ODM chief Raila Amolo Odinga from vying from the August polls?
Well, for me, I'll say it. I don't see that seeing making any move in terms of really calculating, in terms of cultivating anything to go by. And I think it's high time also we need to call out Oketch, because I think he has become one of the serious jokers in these political spheres, whereby he wants only to show up during election time. All this time we have not seen him coming up with serious petitions in terms of when people are being the houses are being demolished, we're having problem with the taxes. So he only comes up to seek relevance through this phase. Right. So I don't support such kind of a move. I think it is important we allow all these candidates to have a free contest and participate in this election, so that when we win, especially from our side, we have a solidified front that we allowed all the aspirants to participate in this process. For them being limited to contest, I think it's just one way of trying to create relevancy through the same petition, and people talk about third way alliance, and because that's always what's been the challenge, and trying to make the name through this process. But I don't see that seeing the light of day. So let's see how it goes, but I don't see it making any move in terms of change. Yeah.
All right. Now, maybe on that, I think it will be interesting getting it first from Brian. But because actually in the Kenya Kwanza camp, there are some people, this lady in Nakuru was saying that, when they were tarnishing Raila, saying that Raila committed treason and by swearing himself that he should not even be rallying for the presidential seat. But anyway, away from that, Brian, what do you see in these presidential elections? Because over time, it's something that I had asked the presidential candidate for Roots Party, and he told me that it's a media creation of, the presidential race boiling down to a two-horse race. And actually, I think he's also creating a narrative, a different narrative, because people are talking, of course, of Raila Odinga, people are talking of Ruto, and the factor of Professor Wajakoya is also in the mouths of people. How do you foresee the presidential elections? Because we saw the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, the other day, he joined the Kenya Kwanza camp. Is Professor rallying to the end, or is likely also to go the Justin Muturi way?
Okay, I'll start by the Ekuru Oketch issue. Ekuru Oketch launched his presidential bid a week ago. It did not get the limelight he thought he would get. He did not get the coverage he was hoping for. He did not get the attention he was hoping for. So he's trying to find something he can cling on to just to get a bit of political relevance. Again, Ekuru Oketch is a very knowledgeable person, who has failed to canvass his knowledge in the right format and present it to Kenyans. He has been, we can say he's a cunning politician who is an opportunist, and always want to take advantage of a political season to advance his small interest, which is not important for us anyway. And on issue of the two-horse race as has been presented by the media, we still believe it's a creation of the media, and I think we also responded to it as the Roots Party in a newspaper publication, I think a week ago. We believe that elections are there for the interest of the ordinary Kenyans. And it is very important and it's imperative of media houses to present to Kenyans all there is, so that when Kenyans are going to the ballot, they go there with well-informed opinion and well-considered opinion, so that they elect people they feel will serve them justly and rightly. Our presidential candidate, Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya, is in this election to the full. We are going straight to the ballot, and we believe that we still have time to pass our message to the great people of this country, so that they can understand that there is more beyond the big names that have existed over time. We can allow ourselves to open our eyes and ears to see and listen to other ideas and opinions that can be able to advance the interest and the welfare of our country and the people of our country. So that's what we present as a Root Party, and we present through the candidature of Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya, that we have a solid presidential candidate with a clear agenda, a clear manifesto that will radically change the lives of citizens of this country for the better.
Right.
Yes.
We'll get back to the manifesto factor later, but because we are still on the aspirants, the contestants, we delve much in this presidential, because the president will determine the fate and the future of Kenyans. Now, Masaki, in the Kenya Kwanza camp, we understand that the deputy, Dr. William Ruto, of course, will be the presidential, he's the presidential, actually, flag bearer for the camp. Now, the question that, many Kenyans are asking is the deputy president factor. When Mudavadi joined Kenya Kwanza, earlier on before he joined Kenya Kwanza, there are videos, he's actually on record, saying, because UDA, we was talking about UDA, was asking, Yuda ni nani? Something of that sort. Of course, Yuda in the Bible is talking about Judas. But later on, he joined the Kenya Kwanza Pact. And then talking of the issue of BBI, when BBI was being signed off in the country, Mudavadi was there. He was in the Bomas of Kenya. He actually signed the BBI. But then when the BBI failed in the Supreme Court, he was reading a different script. Now, Kenyans would really want to know the deputy president factor, because there was a time when the Right Honorable Deputy President Dr. William Ruto was abroad. There are questions of Rigathi Gachagua, of course, and other leaders from the mountain region saying that the deputy president must come from the mountain, and then there was Senator Malala saying that the deputy president seat must come from the western region. How is it likely to play out? And in any selection that is given, if they settle on the western region or they settle on the Mount Kenya region, how is it likely to shake, the Kenyan political scene?
I think first and foremost, just to respond on the issue of Davadi, I think when we started the whole thing of BBI, I think the message was very clear to all of us. That the direction was to unify everyone, was to bring the country together, was to do reconciliation. But after process that was going on, then I think majority of us, and even part of the team that is still in the Kenya Kwanza, we realized that actually the main agenda was about the succession politics. It was not about bringing the country together, which actually we have overseen that, that it was a two-people agenda on who is going to succeed the other. So the narrative about what started and how it ended, the thing changed along the way, because what was created was not what was intended. Because the creation of it was to bring the country together, to make sure that the country is together, and also to make sure that those people who are affected in the previous election are brought together and the country is unified. But the agenda was different.
But
so that
anyway,
is
from the onset,
Yes.
the onset of the BBI, because it was actually a document for constitution amendment. Did they amend it along the way as it was developing in the country?
As you can remember very well, we have had a series of engagements, even on that document. When it started, there are things that were put in place that actually were meant to bring the country together. But along the way, they created different narratives. The amendment ended up into the political scope of it, into creating leadership position and not accommodating the interests of the people. So that's where now we had problems with the document, that this is not the real intention of it. And it was just lying towards the succession politics. And we distanced ourselves clearly from that document, and we said we are not going to support this document going forward. That's now when it created the friction between the parts of Jubilee, and now we had the breaking up of Jubilee, because the intention of it was not clear. On the second issue about the running mate, I know there have been a consultation in regards to the deputy president, but I don't want to give a clear answer to that because this process is still on. But we are focused, and you have seen our leaders coming out clearly, especially Mudavadi and the rest of the people from Mount Kenya, that we are looking in terms of how we're going to form the government, regardless of who is going to be the deputy president. That is going to come up when the right, when we have already have our house in order in terms of bringing the rest of the parties together, because we're still having parties coming into together to join the Kenya Kwanza team. So we are having those consultations, and we're going to have a clear running mate when the time comes.
Right.
So I want you to hold your horses, relax, and wait for the time, and be sure that we are going to form this government.
Right.
On to this other factor.
Maybe let us get it. Let us get you still on the deputy president factor.
Yes.
Brian, I want to know which strategy are you, because the Roots Party is having a strategy that is not so common. It's coming up with a strategy that we are not talking about the Mount Kenya region. People are talking about the Western region. I want to know what strategy are you also will be coming up with to ensure that the running mate that Professor will be having will be a unifying factor and will give you an edge when it comes to the presidential elections.
Again, our agenda as Roots Party is to get our people from shackles of poverty, to eradicate poverty in the face of our land, to create an environment that will be conducive for everybody to live comfortably. And for that reason, we have not focused or anchored our approach on this election on regionalism, because we also understand that the same challenges that a young girl in Nyeri faces are probably the same challenges a young girl is facing in Kwale. Our problems as a country are universal. We want water, we want better healthcare, we want good road network. We want better education facilities. These are universal. They are not region based, and that's why we do not want to approach this election or present our agenda in a form of regionalism kind of a thing. So the person we will finally settle on as a running mate will be someone of high repute, probably a young person who is a visionary, somebody who has a burning desire to bring change, to serve his country or our country. That is the person we'll be settling for. We'll not be looking for tribal arithmetics. That's not our thing. We are saying we are going into this election with very clear mind, very clear objective. We do not want to be subjective on issues like tribe, county, on that the kind of arithmetics we've seen from these other two camps. We want to be a bit different, so that if we are winning this election, is because the people of this country have finally understood and have come to terms with the reality that our challenges are the same. Our regions and tribes may be different, but our challenges are the same. And again, it is also very important for us that finally we must understand that it is no longer about who leads us as a country. It is now about what are our standards to be led. Because if our standard to be led is by me being a tribe, then we are missing it out. If our standard to be led is because this is my brother or this is my sister, then we are missing it out. We are missing it out. Our standard to be led must be people who are visionary, people who have foresight, people who want to change the lives of people and our country.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Now that is so interesting, gentlemen. My director is telling me that we should be winding up because of time. We started a bit late, which is, of course, things happen. So we shall be extending, of course, this discussion. Of course, it will also get so interesting after the nominations. I'm told their party is going to do nominations across the week, and next week we'll be having very interesting discussions, of course. Now, I do want to probably in just a minute each, what message would you wish to pass to the Kenyans as we wind up? Just a minute.
The message is very clear, and I want to put it very clear to Kenyans that as Kenya Kwanza team, we are focused in terms on how we are going to improve and work on our economy, and that is the one big area that as a country we are all headed. We have had crisis, and that's why we come up with this coalition. So I want to urge Kenyans that going forward, going to the future, they should be able to mobilize themselves toward voting the Kenya Kwanza team, so that we can be able to form this government that is going to be considerate and focus issues in terms of how we're going to improve the lives of our people. Let's avoid issues of people who have been not able to focus their agenda in improving the livelihood of our people. So that is the one thing that I want to assure Kenyans.
Right.
Yes.
Brian, as you wind up, of course, it's interesting because you are the only party talking of how debts will be repaid. In a minute, what message will you be having for Kenyans?
Fellow Kenyans, 2022 general election presents us with an opportunity to change the lives of our current generation and future generation. We must strive to elect leadership that is conscious to our challenges and needs. We must look beyond our tribes and look at leadership that will impact our lives positively. As Roots Party, we are presenting to you Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya. We also understand that we have not had enough time, but I would wish to speak to issues of our manifesto and our agenda as Roots Party. We all understand that one of the biggest challenge we've had as a country is corruption. And like many other countries that have succeeded in war against corruption, it is not by forming commissions and forming bodies left, right, and center, because those bodies again becomes just an embodiment of corruption and safeguarding the corrupt. So we are presenting to you an agenda that should George Luchiri Wajakoya become the president of this country, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be introducing death penalty to the corrupt. We also seek to legalize marijuana because we believe it's a high value crop, not just for people to smoke, as there's been a propaganda out there that we just want to legalize bang for people to smoke. We must be honest to ourselves that right now, today in this country, anybody who wants to smoke marijuana for pleasure can access it and will smoke it today, right now. So we are not saying that the moment we'll legalize marijuana, everybody will stop everything they're doing to go and smoke marijuana. Just like miraa, it's legal. It's a high value crop that has changed the lives of people in Mount Kenya East. We are telling the people of this country that for export purposes, for industrial purposes, marijuana is a high value crop. It will give you more returns. It will improve our economy. Marijuana to us will be what tobacco was to Cuba. It will be what sugarcane was to Cuba. And it will change our country. It is what oil is to the countries in the Middle East.
Right.
So we should please consider it. Thank you. I wish we had more time. We had more to
Sure, we'll have more time next time. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for dedicating your time for this discussion. And with that, just taking a very short break, shall we come back with sports.